Alex, thank you very much for joining me for a coffee this morning. What coffee have you gone for?
Amazing. Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I've gone for a flat white. It's my third one today, so
Excellent.
better take it easy.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is going to be a heck of a conversation in that case because I'm on my third as well. Well, I have asked you to come here because we're going to have a little talk about retail media and commerce. You work at Havas Market, you've got plenty of experience in the area. It's chaos, isn't it? Retail media at the moment. It's the whole commerce sphere. It's fragmenting. It's growing. There's so much excitement to it. How are you seeing the state of retail media at the moment?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know about you, but maybe it's the algorithm, but my LinkedIn feed is just retail media, retail media. You would think that every sort of kebab van out there is now thinking about investing in a retail media network. There's just so much energy around it. But again, I think for me, it's about how you kind of get it into context as well. Because obviously, as we'll come on to, so much is Amazon, and also just how the grocers are now starting to come to the party and show up as well. It's just, it's super exciting, as you say, but it's just where is the hype and where is the reality?
I think that's a big thing is like the hype bubble that we've been through. Every conference has had a couple of panels at least on retail media the last couple of years. We hear eye-watering margins being bandied around for clients, and like you say, everyone seems to be getting into becoming a retail media network. How do you advise clients at the moment, and what's kind of for you where's the joy, where's the real state of play for retail media?
Yeah, I mean, I think you always need to work backwards with a brand and understand sort of what they're trying to do, just because it's the new shiny thing. As you say, it's so complex and fragmented as well. So that creates complexity. And then on the brand side of things as well, is where that budget sits. Is it the e-com team? Is it the marketing team? Is it even the sales and commercial team and so on? So we really do need to sort of tailor the conversation. I mean, I think one of the things we've done at Havas Market is actually changed our agency now to not just be commerce and retail media specialists, but bring kind of performance media in as a whole. And that way we can have a little bit more of a holistic conversation with our brands, because it's what is that right mix. I always think of like a musician or a DJ, with the mixing desk and the sliders.
Yeah.
It's what needs to be dialed up and dialed down, whether it's Google Meta or Amazon or Tesco Media. So it's just recognising there's a cliche, I know, but not one size fits all. We have to make it bespoke.
Yeah, and there's plenty of options now along those lines. I mean, I was reading recently that brands will use maybe 5 or 6 retail media channels, and there's a lot to choose from. But like you say, it's the sliding on the desks and where you go.
Exactly.
We're seeing, there has been a lot of fragmentation, and like you say, it's sliding the dials on the mixing desk. I have read recently that brands will choose 5 or 6 retail media outlets to place their spend, basically. What can they expect to gain from it, and how should they choose wisely, I suppose?
Yeah, I think we'll always start with where is potentially the size of prize and ease of opportunity, recognising that all the different platforms have different measurement and attribution standards, which also makes it quite complex. And let's face it, customers, we're not all on a linear journey. We don't just, an idea pops into our head, we go on one site and stay on that site and convert on that site. We might start our journey on Pinterest, but then purchase on Amazon, for example. I think we naturally lean on the Amazon side of the fence, just in terms of its scale and reach, particularly in the UK market, but obviously across Europe and the US, of course, as well. And also Amazon in terms of just the scale of what they can now offer, in terms of started out very bottom of the funnel, sponsored products, but now we've got all the way through to streaming TV, the Amazon Prime ad-supported tier, and then Amazon Marketing Cloud across. In terms of sort of bang for buck, I suppose that's sort of a good starting point. But again, I suppose it depends. Are you a challenger brand? Are you looking to sort of get disproportionate market share, perhaps get some data that you can then go to a traditional grocer and go, look, I've started really well on Amazon. Can I have a listing online, offline? I'll invest in retail media there. So again, it's that strategic layer, I suppose, that goes around the retail media plan. It shouldn't just be a line on the plan, I suppose, is my point. It's got to be, again, more strategic.
Definitely. I think, you brought up Amazon, which raises one of the biggest points of the retail media game is, can anyone really compete with what they can offer? We saw there's a report from Pentalete came out in the last couple of weeks saying that Amazon now offer sponsored products on 99% of searches on the site. But they've got that, they seem to have retail media in the bag. How can you build competition to that, really?
I think it's a bit of a fool's errand if you were another UK retailer and going, I want to sort of get the equivalent kind of P&L that Amazon do for retail media. But again, it's recognising what are different retailers with their networks trying to achieve, and what can they do that's perhaps unique for a brand different to Amazon. But as you say, Amazon has just got that sort of depth and breadth. And ultimately, for the last 10 years, Amazon has been where consumers start their search for a product, not Google. And so the foundations for retail media on their side have been building for quite a long time. I mean, full confession, I used to sort of work for Amazon back into the 2012 when we were based in Slough, and we were very much sort of a bookseller. We were very much a bookseller, and marketplace was, the new thing. Amazon advertising wasn't around, but it was always perhaps obvious that was the direction of travel, because particularly again as a challenger on marketplace, and you had a generic keyword search for, say, best workwear gloves or something like that. The retail media element is your chance to piggyback all the established brands, come right to the top of the listings, and then get disproportionate share of wallet for the keyword search. So it was that sort of flywheel and that engine that Amazon built. So for me as well, I think retail media is quite linked to marketplaces. So I think it's interesting seeing what, say, B&Q have done, where they've got retail media and a marketplace, or Debenhams, for example. To me, that's, I suppose, the level up if a retailer is thinking about, okay, I want to do retail media. It's like, are they also having a conversation about marketplaces?
Yeah, and this is it. And it's, there's a lot of data backing this growth across the sector as well in terms of how you're targeting. And I think even AI with, it's, people aren't just searching for best workwear gloves anymore. They're searching for, I would like a pair of blue workwear gloves in size extra large to do my garden pruning or something like that. And you've got so much rich data in the search that retail media is becoming even more targetable. And it's, do you think this is aiding the growth in terms of how AI and retail media are interplaying?
I think so. Data will definitely be, again, part of the fuel. I suppose it always has been, again, for performance media. But interesting for me as well, seeing how Shopify is thinking about kind of AI and integrations with ChatGPT as well. I mean, it's only a matter of time, I suppose, when these big, large language models that at the moment are advertising free will have their own version of retail media or performance media. But I suppose for me, that's also part of it, is obviously people are talking about retail media, but probably some of these things have been around for a while. What was originally sort of a Google kind of search ad is now on Amazon as a digital ad. We're now calling that retail media. But again, this concept of, bidding on keywords and so on, I can see that also being a kind of in ChatGPT, and you'll be bidding on keywords very much like you used to on Amazon and how you used to on Google.
Yeah. So it's a constant flow of this development of retail media.
I think so, because again, if you've got a query, there's just that huge demand from brands to go, how do I appear for that search, and how do I appear above my competitor? And then that just drives that flywheel again of like, okay, well, I'm going to pay another cent more than Bob over there, and then on it goes. And then obviously the industry just spirals. But at the end of the day, like, marketeers don't have unlimited budgets, so this has got to come from somewhere, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. Where's it coming from?
Good question. I mean, I suppose we've seen this sort of macro shift of money moving away from linear formats and TV and so on into sort of digital. Obviously, Google and Meta lion's share. I think anecdotally, we're seeing retail media budgets coming from Meta. I think we are, though, obviously seeing that brands are trying to sort of move perhaps their trade marketing budgets, their shopper marketing budgets, their traditional way of spending retail media offline into retail media online. But the reality is, retailers want to try and make it incremental. They want to drive this as a growth engine, not just move things from pot A to pot B. So yes, I think marketeers are probably looking at their other kind of digital pots and going, okay, we're going to put X% into retail media and trial this. And I think a lot of the conversations we're having at Havas Market as well is around brands going, I want to test and learn. I want to see the data, prove it works for me, and then I'm going to lean in.
Yeah, and I think that's another interesting key point is the proving of it at the moment, is the proof that it works, and the standardization as well, which I suppose the industry is looking at. Like you said, you mentioned it earlier, you touched on it, the standardization and measurement. How do you see those discussions going in terms of the standards and the measurement aspect of it?
Yes, I think it's a thorny one. I know it's perhaps a relatively dry topic, but it's definitely one that's sort of keeping the industry awake at night. I know you've got all the organisations like the IAB and so on, all sort of bringing people together to try and agree on kind of common standards. I think for a while it's going to be fragmented, and we have to be comfortable with that complexity. But I suppose that's the role for us as an agency as well, to sort of help in that kind of ecosystem between the brand and the retailer, and try and advise them and try and look for those kind of patterns and incrementality. But I mean, from a personal point of view, having kind of worked for a retailer, having worked for a brand, and now in an agency, and having seen all sides of the fence, for me, it has to be about driving big business growth. Because if it's just another vanity metric and another platform claiming a conversion, what's the point? But again, that's why I think we need to look and work with brands and look at their whole kind of online P&L and going, yes, we can prove that this is genuinely incremental, not just robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, this is of genuine value to you.
Yeah.
I want to move us a little bit away from the main concept of retail media, and I want to chat a little bit about social commerce, which is an area that's another huge growth area that we're seeing at the moment. We have our annual event in Singapore, and it's, across the APAC region, as fragmented as that market is, there's been a huge boom in social commerce that we are yet to see quite hit in the US and UK. But it seems to be coming. How are you seeing that kind of state of play at the moment?
Yeah, definitely. So we've been working with Harman JBL, the sort of headphone audio brand. They came to us last year and said, we want to lean into TikTok Shop, live shopping and so on, and we want to do it for Black Friday. So there was a bit of a scramble, but it was absolutely brilliant seeing the results. But as you say, I think the market's still early. So there are brands out there that are leaning in. They recognise that perhaps their audience is living on TikTok. And I think social commerce is about potentially getting new to brand customers, or reaching customers, especially the kind of younger generations that may not be on traditional kind of media channels. But it's still early days. I think just culturally, live shopping and doing everything through these super apps that the Chinese use isn't quite there yet. But there's a direction of travel for sure. And again, it's really interesting seeing how challengers in particular will lean in quicker, because they're perhaps less concerned about measurement. They just instinctively know, okay, we've got an audience there, we want to be there, we want to take share of those kind of dinosaurs that may be slower to sort of catch up. And then you've definitely just got more advanced marketeers and bigger brands who are going, no, this is where the future is, I want to lean in. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, it seems like an exciting sphere, and we're seeing some of the larger brands are kind of aping TikTok content for their own ads, which is interesting to say. This for me, it's watching a generational shift. It's terrifying at the same time as being incredibly interesting from the ad tech side as well. Well, yeah, thank you so much for joining me, Alex. That was great to discuss.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And yeah, we've covered a few of the bases of retail media, so we'll keep in touch on it. But thanks very much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed your coffee.
Thank you for having me.
Right?
Yeah, thank you for
You're
that.
very welcome. Cheers. Man, thank you.